Yesterday evening, we talked about consciousness, the level where you watch consciousness directly. That means you watch consciousness with mindfulness at the mind door, in the present moment. Yeah? This is as simple as we can put. And if you do that, then something can be done. But if you study Abhidhamma, and Abhidhamma talks a lot about consciousness, which can be useful, but you have to be careful. Because when you study, you're dealing with a lot of concepts. When you read, you're dealing with concepts. And Abhidhamma is something, it's an explanation on reality. So you have to be careful not to form ideas that would interfere or be a barrier to your practice. You shouldn't. But from what I understand, it is possible. So we talk about consciousness. What do you mean by consciousness? You look for definition in the Abhidhamma, it is the nature of phenomena. The knows its object. Actually, the Pali word is citta, cittenti, cittang. Cittenti means that which thinks of an object. There's a direct translation of the word. But thinking is something else. So the Thai use the word rab aram. It receives the object. It's one way of seeing knowing in a metaphysical sense. But the best way is to experience it directly. So yesterday I already told you how you experience it directly. And I hope you have understood. Do you understand? I hope. Still, you have to be careful. Generally, we say knowing. The knowing mind is the consciousness. The noting mind, is it a consciousness? The noting mind, noting itself is a mental factor, not directly consciousness. But consciousness is there, of course. Consciousness has to be there. And noting, not necessarily mindful. Somebody's phone. Ông Tiểu Yên. Siapa punya telefon? Noting is more of perception, sanya. Anyway, we won't go into all these small details, it may confuse you. But knowing itself is, generally we say, consciousness. But again, you have to be careful. For example, when you say, you watch your consciousness, you watch the knowing mind. Now, at the very moment you're watching the knowing mind doesn't know. Okay? Knowing mind doesn't know. Because it is the object. It cannot know this object at the same time. It's an object itself. It's like you're seeing yourself in the mirror. Oh, how beautiful am I? Oh, how handsome I am. Is the image you? No, the image is not you. So you cannot perform two things at the same time. No. But when you watch the object, you know it is the knowing mind. The mind knows its object. But at the time it doesn't really know, because it's the object. Similarly, when you talk of bhavanga, somebody asks about a bhavanga. Does the bhavanga know anything? Of course, the bhavanga is its object. But at the time, does the bhavanga know its object? The bhavanga has an object, otherwise it wouldn't be a consciousness. When you are in a bhavanga, you are in deep sleep, do you know anything? You don't know anything. So do you have an object? You don't. Of course your consciousness is there, the consciousness has an object, but you don't know anything. Okay? That's why this consciousness is sometimes a bit chiraka, but that's because of our ignorance. It's just that. Because the knowing that we talk about, you know the object, is involved, is a thought process. The 17 thought moments with regards to the sense objects, the 11 thought moments with regard to the mind or object. That's a thought process. How many chittas there are? 11 chittas, 17 chittas. That comprises a very basic element of knowing in the ordinary sense of the word. So the bhavanga citta itself is not a thought process. It's not thought processes. It's not 17 moments or 11 moments. It's we call a process freed. It doesn't have 17 thought moments of it. It's just So what happens when you sleep? Your mind goes don't know anything. But the mind is a subject. You can see the mind knows subject, but it's not knowing in the ordinary sense of the word. So, I said knowing, we usually use it in the common sense of the word, which refers to the thought process. When we talk of the consciousness at the moment, the consciousness knows, receives the object. So, you just see in terms of the aspect of metaphysical reality, or in terms of experiential reality, or direct experiential reality, is pachaka, or inferential ordinary type of experiential reality. Then the second one is what we are talking about. But never mind, you watch as you see and you discover it as you know. The important thing is you're not thinking, you're mindful, you're very clear, and you watch the object. When you're very clear, you ordinarily sense you are watching the present, inverted commas. You do it properly, you finally go to the time fleet. That means timeless observation. So bear this in mind when you are doing Cittanupassana. The first step is just simply be mindful, be present. When I say by be present, I don't say present moment, present time concept. Be present, I'm very clear, and just watch the knowing mind. If you ask, how can you watch two minds? That's where the problem comes. How can the mind watch another mind? How? Don't think so much, you watch it and see what happens. So this is what they call more like Zen. It's becoming a bit Zen-like. So, come to where we started off. So you make sure you're mindful and your mind is clear, you're not thinking, and your mindfulness is continuous. Because you're supposed to be watching the present awareness, which is the consciousness with mindfulness. And you're watching the consciousness with mindfulness. If you're not mindful, then there's no more mindfulness. Then what are you watching? Consciousness is not mindful. How are you watching the mindful consciousness? How can you watch the mindful consciousness? Unless you're mindful. Right? Can you watch the mindful consciousness? The reason is because the second consciousness is an object. It's not the consciousness. The object of consciousness, which is like the immediate past. If you talk about time concept, if you don't think of time concept, you're watching the timeless consciousness. And consciousness by nature is timeless. It's strange. So better not think so much, you just watch and see what happens. Okay? So when you watch, slowly discover the most important thing is you're mindful. And the mindfulness is present. And mindfulness keeps being present. And you watch and see what happens. So you don't try too smart to go into this theory and all this too much Abhidhamma. It's okay to learn Abhidhamma, it's very helpful and so on, but when it comes to practicing Vipassana, my Abhidhamma teacher, who is also a Vipassana teacher, is very difficult for these Abhidhamma students. And he's teaching Abhidhamma. but he's also teaching Vipassana. His Vipassana Abhidhamma concept is very sticky, it's difficult to get rid of. If you practice Vipassana at the same time not being attached to it, then it's helpful. Then you really understand what the Abhidhamma is talking about. Otherwise, so you start talking, go to the extent of talking about this Magga Pala, how can Pala knows and Magga does not know, and you talk lah. You argue lah. Argue until your face grows, becomes blue and black, so you won't get the answer. 争论到人脸青黑青没有答案。So let's say you get to know, hearing, and you start doing the five sense thoughts. Finally, you get a knack of watching the consciousness as consciousness. Knowing is knowing, consciousness going. And there's no other object so unclear, you watch the consciousness. So when you watch the consciousness, you see knowing. What is knowing? That is something. First, what you know? You know its object. Right? The knowing mind knows its object. What's its object? It's consciousness. Or it could be that you're not so clear about the consciousness, you've been watching the, what is that? The mindfulness. Or you say the object of the consciousness. Like you say, seeing, hearing, thinking. Suppose you're watching consciousness, actually watching the object of the consciousness, what you're thinking about. So you're given advice. When you're not thinking, don't watch the object, what you're thinking about. Because you watch the object, what you're thinking about, you're watching all your concepts, all your problems, all your hopes, all your fears. Then of course the mind will take you to Holland. You want to go to Holland? You think some more, you go to Holland. You can go to London. Better go, if you want to go somewhere, better go to Chilosije, Western Paradise. So you watch the thinking mind. And watch the thinking mind. Think. Can you watch the thinking mind without the object? Can, to some extent. It seems that you can. But it's more on the thinking, which is the vitaka, vichara, the discursiveness, mental state, the mind that, you call it the chicha mind, no? Chichi-cha-cha, Ipo mind. People who like to gossip and talk are very chicha, no? He called me, I called but you know what he said about you, we know what he said about your wife. These people are a lot of vitaka vichara. Gossipy. These people are the mind very difficult to meditate. So this is the chicha mind. So you see the mind running about, and you're watching vitaka vichara, the cetasika. But when you watch the cetasika, mental state, consciousness is also there. So generally, we explain that the consciousness is known by two main things. One is its object, and one is accompanying mental states. Because this comes together. It's only which one you take note of. When you do Chittanupassana, by right it should be the Chitta. But when you know the Chitta, these two are automatically there. And you also know at the same time. Can you know two things at the same time? Right? You must watch directly and find out. It seems you can, to a certain degree. But main thing is one. You talk of one moment. You talk of many moments, that's a different story. Many moments, no? Many thought processes. Because when you know something, a lot of thought process goes down. Yeah? Because when you hear me talking, you see me, you hear me, and blah, 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 and you start thinking, what on earth am I talking about? I can't understand him, he's talking nonsense. Okay. That is also going through your mind, all the thinking. So there are many thought processes. But in Chittanupassana, don't think so much. Just watch. and the mind, the consciousness. And then you reduce a lot. You reduce all those the past objects, future objects, just the present objects, and then the so-called present is a long time. So you watch whatever is there. So generally it's like that, but you reduce. But you slowly you get more concentrated, you converge, more pinpoint the consciousness at that moment. Even at that moment it's already some so-called some period of time. So you watch the consciousness. So you watch. So the mind at the beginning is like a dog running over, looking for quarrel, looking for people to bite, looking for food. Running around, you follow, eating, fighting, thinking, you follow, ding dang. The hindrances are still there. And finally you stop. You stop, you come back home. Come back home, where's the home? The home is the where? Heart base. Or more correctly, the mind door. Home. Where is home, sweet home? Where? Where's your home, sweet home? Melaka? Where's your home, sweet home? Is it Melaka? Oh, Melaka is so big. Where's home, sweet home? Your house. Home, sweet home is your bed. Sleep there, quack, the home down there. It's your home, sweet home. And the base where all your computer, the base where the computer goes back. Your home base, what you call that? Home page. Home page. Your home page is what your CPR is it? What operating system? A basic operative system. Yeah? Correct. Your basic operating system. Huh? OS. Operating OS. And of course your operating system has a home page. Yeah? What do you put as your home page? You know your own face, your darling children. Oh, what do you have as your home page? Your wife. You know what I put as my home page? The recent stupa of Ajanta caves, which represent Nibbana. It's as close as you can as a visual image of Nibbana. Very good. Home page. So the home page is like your object of your Bhavanga Citta. OS is like a Bhavanga Citta. Yeah? Alright? Something like that, agak-agak macam itulah. So it goes back there. But it goes back there, sleeping. Can you be mindful when you're sleeping? You cannot be mindful when you're sleeping. But there's mindfulness when you're sleeping. You know not? According to Abhidhamma, you talk about Abhidhamma, someone, okay, I talk with you a bit. Bhavanga Citta has mindfulness. That's why mindfulness is a different story. Consciousness with mindfulness, and at the time it doesn't know because it is not active. It's passive and it doesn't constitute a thought process. It's only a citta, But the chitta is a process. It doesn't just stay like that, it runs by itself, but it functions as a mind door. You see, the function of the chitta and the knowing aspect of the chitta are two different things. It occurs as a function, a mind door. So when you watch the consciousness, you're watching the consciousness at the mind door. Now you got three things, huh? You have the consciousness that is being mindful. Then you're watching at the mind door, which is the bhavanga function of the bhavanga chitta. Okay? And you're watching another consciousness that knows something, for example, craving. Craving consciousness. And so that is another thing, that's the object of consciousness. So you have three things now. So which one are you watching? You're supposed to be watching the consciousness with craving. Correct? When you watch it, what happens? It disappears. Why does it disappear? We say that the consciousness and the mindfulness and craving cannot come together, so one has to disappear. But it's more than that. When you watch something is not there, it disappears. Is it there? It's not there because you're supposed to be mindful. That was from where? From the past. Can you watch the consciousness from the past? The consciousness of past also occurs in the mind now. How come? You see, you don't think so much, you just watch. And watch it disappear, good, the consciousness of craving gone. That's what's important. Consciousness is there. You cannot be mindful at all, so no mindfulness, no talk, no vipassana. That's why you talk about mind practice. It's a practical thing. You practice, perfect, to purify your mind for good. But you know exactly what happens is helpful. At the beginning, people don't learn Abhidhamma, don't go in. Even they learn Abhidhamma, they don't also learn what I'm talking to you about. But, some people, very, very curious one. People talk about Abhidhamma, even my teacher taught Abhidhamma. What on earth is talking about? They ask me, do you understand? I think so, I'm not sure. But I'll get to the bottom of this, just you wait. Pandita asked Pandita about Dhammanupassana. What is Dhammanupassana? He tried to talk here, talk there. I don't think he was telling me directly, Understand? I think so. But I think he's not telling me directly. He's just avoiding the question. So, studying is one thing, but studying without practice, there's no point. You miss the main, there's no point, you miss the main point. Because theory is supposed to support the practice. So you watch craving, be mindful craving pass away. You ask, how can the consciousness watch the consciousness? You're getting too much. Looking for trouble. Just watch. I tell people there are two ways of answering the question. The Zen way and Abhidhamma way. Abhidhamma tells you Abhidhamma answer which you don't quite understand. Second, Zen way is you knock ahead, watch. And that's a better way. Don't talk so much, watch. So Vipassana, in a way, has some ways similar to Chinese Zen. So you watch the consciousness. When the craving and all those goes away, and then what you have is watching directly mindful consciousness. So you watch the mindful consciousness. No? When now you're not talking about idle sense thought, all those already a different world. In the world of the mind. You're no longer in Melaka. Melaka is outside. Mind is dalam, bukan luar. Inside. So you watch inside, the inside story. So there's mindfulness, there's awareness, there's okay, you watch. You watch. What is there? What is happening there? You're supposed to watch the mind. And mindfulness, consciousness will be there, where anyway it should be because it's being supplied. It's a flow. Mindfulness comes, mindfulness goes, mindfulness comes, mindfulness goes, goes, mindfulness goes. And so, watching mindfulness, so people report in meditation, I don't know what you're talking about, When you report, you must be more clear. So I give you the same medicine. When you give Dhamma talk, here probe, you watch the consciousness. Mindfulness, because there is continuity of mindfulness, so mindfulness must be flowing. You don't care about time. So you come to approach the mindfulness, consciousness as close as possible to the timeless consciousness. As close as possible, exactly, as close as possible to the timeless consciousness. So you're watching consciousness as a conditioned phenomena. Observing consciousness as conditioned phenomena, you have to first watch the consciousness as anatta, non-self. To watch the consciousness anatta is the first inside knowledge. To watch the consciousness as a conditioned phenomena is the second inside knowledge. Your first inside knowledge cannot be established yet. The second inside knowledge cannot be established yet. But never mind, we get something like that first. Agak-agak. Pertama agak-agak. Nanti boleh jadi yang benar. Bang lah, cipo-cipo. When you get closer and closer and closer, then you get to see the thing. So you watch the consciousness, knowing. Sometimes people are actually watching it, but they don't know. That's interesting things. But it's not clear enough. So when you watch knowing, very clear mindfulness, really present, immediately you can get the first inside knowledge. Sometimes they arrive, but they don't know it is. Because the inferential knowledge is not strong. Because no foundation. So anyway, you watch long enough, the consciousness as consciousness. At the beginning, you see the consciousness in different forms. You watch knowing. Even your mind changes. It's not always the same. Knowing, there's a mind like that. People who do samatha meditation, their mind like that, no? Bộ tinh tặng kìa, xí bu ra nè kìa. Why? 已经结冰了。Because it's already frozen. The samatha consciousness is a frozen consciousness. Bề tinh tặng kìa. Tinh mà, tinh là miêu tung đó. So that type of consciousness will come out like that. That's why immediately coming of samatha, not good object of vipassana, because you cannot see change. Yeah? You see change. But you do it in the vipassana, satipatthana way, you can. Because satipatthana, vipassana is momentary concentration. You like it, cling, here and there, up, down. So one used to the conditioning and change. And so when that happens, you learn to watch the consciousness as anatta at the same time as a process. With momentary concentration of vipassana meditation. And this is something that is very unique to vipassana, the momentary concentration. Not that you do samatha, you can, not that you cannot, but a bit more difficult because they're so attached to the stillness. You have the teacher to bring them out, tell them to watch it moment to moment. And since they're so smart, they can. So what you do is you watch the consciousness, when you watch the consciousness, knowing mind. You cannot see anything, you just blah blah there, blur there. You look at it, look at you. Like you're looking like lembu look back at you. Why you look at me? After that, what happens? You look at it, both of you will fall asleep. Either that, or you get bored, you start looking at something else. Or you start going somewhere to cari lumpur makan. That's what happens. You watch knowing mind, either you fall asleep, you start thinking. So in that case, you cannot watch it as a main object. You're no longer continuously mindful. You go back to your rising, falling. But it is a skill that you have to acquire sooner or later. So eventually, you're able to stay longer and be mindful of the consciousness in the present, and you find that it doesn't stick. It changes. Sometimes it's expanded, sometimes it's contracted, sometimes it's light, sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's dark and black, and then it blots off. Don't know anything. It comes back. So there are all these different states. These different states are, in a way, mental states, cetasikas. But you may not find these cetasikas in the 52. But they are mental states, and so by right they are also cetasikas. The Abhidhamma cetasikas is specially chosen cetasikas to understand the nature of the consciousness in the 31 planes of existence. So you watch this consciousness like that, lighter, after that, thinking, and you bring back, thinking, too much thinking, sleepiness, you go back to sleepiness, awareness, rising, falling, to build back your mindfulness. When your mindfulness is strong enough, you then look at the consciousness, you watch again the consciousness. It's just like a dog sitting there, you look at the dog move here, move there. So you watch, and so after a while you find that it changes. And when you go deeper into the mind, other mental objects come in. Or enough, you watch that, it runs to thinking, it runs to hearing of sound, ding dong, and come back and stay there. Then when you're totally in the mind door, mind objects can come in to interfere. You can shut your ears, you put earplugs, you can shut your eyes, and so on. The body will be difficult to shut, unless you're dead or numb. But let's say you don't have too much discomfort, you don't have taste in your mouth, you don't have smell, and then you're just in the consciousness. But when you go deeper, you find that the mind door is there, and you cannot shut the mind door. Can you shut the mind door? You can close your ears. How are you going to shut it? You don't know even where the mind door is. The only way to shut the mind door is you can knife and poke, finish. But another mind doors come out, it's worse, you don't know where it is reborn. So only way you can shut your mind door is either you sleep close. But then you don't know anything, you cannot meditate. It doesn't work either. So the other way is you use your samatha jhanas, lock it, freeze it. So it doesn't work, you cannot practice vipassana, you're frozen in the jhana. So what happens? Continuous mindfulness. But you have to be very alert. Interesting about the mind is, you see, when the mind object comes, it doesn't mean you're not mindful. Some people watch rising, falling, then something comes to their mind. You see what? You see somebody, see your mother coming. Time for lunch. Chào quân. Why is this coming to you? Because it comes through your mind, because it's different reasons. It doesn't mean you're not mindful. You can still be mindful, and all this barang-barang, all this matsuk, unless your concentration on your primary object or other object so strong, and this thing don't come and disturb, then okay. But because of different reasons, they come. And so when they come, what's this doing here? Mindful. Then your friend coming, we came for meditating. Then after that, somebody, his friend, my friend. If you're not mindful, then the whole story starts. No? At the beginning, she noticed there's this object coming in. But you're mindful, then the object will stop. Mindful, and then it goes away, and passes. So when you're mindful, it doesn't mean the object, but you're not restless in the sense that your mind is still mindful. But you start thinking about what there is, and then it becomes restlessness. You were meeting, like some people meditate. One monk was telling he's meditating, then early morning, he saw somebody bring food to him. He's dreaming, hungry, looking for food. Then he noticed there's no spoon there. No spoon, tak ada sudu. He just shouted, "Spoon please!" And you wake up, So why? Because in the early morning you're not so mindful. Right? Sleep and you tend to dream of food. Some people dream of coffee. So you're mindful, and you say, this is thinking, this is dreaming. Then it disappears. So you have to be mindful when you're at the mind door. 1,001 things come to your mind. The whole universe is at your feet. So at your doorstep, all those nonsense, all those things that you have, all your problems, all your things that you do in daily life, all the things you're doing every day in your life, all down there, waiting for you. Your dogs, your cats. So you must be mindful, and then they don't disturb you. Then you go back, you're just watching the consciousness. And that's the consciousness, and the mental states will be your main meditation objects of your mindfulness. And when that happens, then of course, the three characteristics, when anatta comes, the three characteristics will come. But before that, the conditioning comes. This will come under the first, second insight, third insight knowledge. And this comes only with vipassana concentration, momentary concentration. Okay? So, in the beginning, you look at the Satipatthana Sutta. First, when you watch the consciousness, now we're talking consciousness, not mental states. We're talking about consciousness. So when you watch the consciousness, first is the consciousness with craving and consciousness without craving. Consciousness with anger, consciousness without anger. Consciousness with delusion and consciousness with delusion. So with or without. So you differentiate clearly between the wholesome and unwholesome mind. This is the first important part, ethically speaking. So experience, you must first notice that when you're talking about a consciousness, you're not talking about a craving or without craving. Without craving, the opposite of craving is what? Detachment. Detachment. Craving is attachment, detachment. Anger and acceptance. Or non-aversion, which accepts. Delusion, the opposite is mindfulness. These are the opposite mental states. Direct opposite. Direct. The indirect opposite. Direct opposite. So, but here you emphasize the consciousness. So when you watch the consciousness, the clarity, you can see the consciousness change. When it changed to very direct opposite states. And you see sleepy mind, mindful, sleep, your mindfulness comes, then you find your mindfulness very clear. Your mind becomes very clear like the bright sun. Before that, your mind is like a dark clouds. The Chinese say, 烟雨朦胧. It becomes very bright, completely different. You're not talking about the 烟雨朦胧or the bright sun. You're talking about the consciousness, which is as bright as the sun, the consciousness which is as dark as the dark clouds. From the big change and difference, you can see not just the difference between bright and dark, but the consciousness which is bright and which is dark. That is what it means, consciousness. When it's so clear, it's very obvious, because you are like a completely different person. Anger and non-anger, same. Like anger, one way of anger is like when you are worried, worried. For example, good example, when you are coming home, coming home after that, you come say, oh, what happened to my key? Tak ada kunci, mana boleh masuk rumah. You're locked out of your own home. Search, you cannot find it. Telephone also don't know where you put. So, what are you going to do? You search properly, and then you find it. Big relief. Why? Because a completely different consciousness. One you're in hell, the other one you're in heaven. So as you can see a complete change in the consciousness. It's completely different. But you talk of mental states, the little mental states, then you cannot see. For example, you have a lot of craving and no craving, okay, you can see. But when you talk about mental states change, little craving and no craving, you know or not? You don't know. Because little craving, you cannot see. You think no craving. So you cannot see the consciousness with craving or without craving. Because they look the same. Macam-macam, sama-sama. Right? So that's why when you talk of mental states, but here you're talking of consciousness changing from unwholesome to wholesome. The main thing is you can see this clearly before you can see the subtle. That means between the stronger craving and lesser craving. When stronger and lesser craving, you can see the change in the mental state, cetasika. Now got stronger craving than the thing. I don't want, but I still look at it. So how? That means you see the change in the cetasika, but you don't see it in the citta. Right? Because the change is not so strong. You can see the change in the craving, but not in the consciousness with craving. You're able to view your consciousness clearly, even from smaller craving to even smaller craving, you see it is a different consciousness. And then the awareness of consciousness becomes clearer. So this is talking about citta and citta, cetasika and cetasika. Yeah? So when you can see with regards to these three unwholesome states, then you can see it with all the unwholesome states. Then we talk about the next group of consciousness, which is tranquilized and untranquilized consciousness. You know, tranquility and non-tranquility refers to the presence, absence of the five hindrances. This we are talking of the consciousness, but the main point here is the tranquilized consciousness. That means the consciousness has gone to a further level of concentration and refinement. At first the consciousness is not so refined, so you don't know what it is. When people have not gone to concentration before, refined, we call it upachara samadhi. Excess concentration, they don't know what it means. No? Only when they practice long enough, they got to some degree of consciousness, concentration, then they know. It is not jhana yet. It's not absorption yet. And it's not really access yet. For example, when you watch rising falling, you can watch it rising falling, you feel your mind concentrated and you have not much thinking, on and off it comes and goes on. It's very peaceful, I can do a lot of it. Can you call it tranquilized? You can call it tranquilized. But more properly, it is excess concentration, where the mind achieves excess, where the hindrances are inhibited. So you know, which means that you know the consciousness as it progresses from defiled hindrance to non-defiled, but the concentration is not so strong that you have suitably overcome the hindrances. Because it's still weak, it can still pop in. When the conditions are stronger for the defilement, it still come in. So you must be strong enough to inhibit the rising of the hindrances sufficiently well. So you can see that the whole process. In the whole process, you don't see just the tranquility increasing, but also the consciousness increasing. And then finally, you've got to a point where the hindrances are inhibited, cut off. And then you can see the difference between the two levels, between the excess concentration and the below the excess concentration. So all the changes all the way with the increasing of mindfulness and tranquility, you see all the changes in the consciousness. And of course, when you do that also you learn about the conditions. How did this concentration come about? If you have enough clear comprehension, then you know. You don't have enough clear comprehension, then you can guess. agak. Okay, I think we stop here today. Any questions?
Yes.
Good. Somebody is listening. At least your hearing is still good.
This is about yesterday's question.
Asamalah.
It's also about citta.
Okay.
Reverend was talking about this yogi is seeing the citta in the sixth jhana, so there's no breathing. He can breathe through the skin. That's what Reverend says.
I think you all mixed up, right?
You see this,
Yeah, when you talk about fifth jhana, okay, there's no more breathing.
You can breathe through the skin now.
No, when you breathe the skin, there's not fifth jhana, it's still on excess, still not, no, it's fifth. Lima.
Fifth jhana do not breathe.
No, you stop breathing at fifth. Six, of course, you already stopped. So when you're in the jhana, you don't know the body. You don't know that the body breathes through the skin. If you know the body is breathing through the skin, you are not in any jhana. You are in excess concentration. Sometimes you may not be even in the excess concentration, you know the skin is breathing. And you don't feel that you're breathing because your breathing is so low.
The question is there time factor in that state? Let's say a yogi experience there's no breathing in one short period. Do we consider that he is in the fifth jhana?
In fifth jhana, you don't know anything around you. You don't know your body. You don't know. How long you in the jhana depends on your the practice. How strong and lasting your concentration is. You are still aware and you're still watching your rising, falling, or sitting, touching sensations, and you notice after some time you have stopped breathing. Well, strictly speaking, you haven't stopped breathing. And that period can last for some time. Tell you the story, the interesting story. You know Visu? Visudachara. You know? Christopher. You know? Canada. You Penang people will know. Leading Sun knows? Yeah, but have you remember meeting with him? Past trip. Yeah, no, that one. Okay. Now, his mother came to meditate in Kota Tinggi. Auntie Mary. Remember not? Auntie Mary. Visudachara's mother. So she came to Kota Tinggi to meditate. So while she was meditating, one day, she noticed she's not breathing. She put her hand there. No breath. She waited for some time. No breathing. She's awake, you know. She's not. So the concentration, she wake up. She noticed she's not breathing. Then she got worried. What should we see? So she get up and started walking. After walking some time, she feel still no breathing. Then she got more worried. So she started walking fast, stomping. Then she go, okay, now got breathing. So how and that is not very deep concentration, you know. So any more questions? Oh.
What happened when a yogi realized he's not breathing in watching the chitta?
Don't bother, leave it alone. Just keep watching. How do you know that you're not breathing in the first place? That means you're not mindful enough of the chitta. If you're watching the chitta, you wouldn't be bothered about the breathing. Huh?
You find that usually when you meditate, when there's breathing, you realize.
If you're watching the breathing.
Somehow, at certain time of this
You
watching
notice.
the chitta, you find that the breathing is not working.
Doesn't matter, carry on watching the chitta. No thinking. Because how come I'm not breathing? It's thinking. Thinking. Go away thinking.
You know, you may see there's no.
Yeah, you see, that means you're not paying attention to your primary object, the chitta. Huh? You're watching the chitta is a primary object. Why are you going to watch whether you're breathing or not? Unless your thinking starts coming in, and then you cannot watch the chitta, no? So you look back for your breath. When you cannot feel your breath, you watch the bodily sensations. Yeah? Simple. All your objects are there. Yeah? Find an object to be mindful of.
You understand my question or I ask?
Please, then ask again. Okay.
I was watching this chitta, and then I can see it breathing.
How can you be watching the chitta and you're looking at the breathing?
I can see it
That means when you're not watching the chitta,
the chitta is watching
the what?
the breath.
And that means you're watching the breath, you're not watching chitta.
All of a sudden, there's no breath at all.
Then you watch sitting, touching. Isn't it? When you cannot find a rising, falling, what you watch sitting, touching. Back to the basics. Yeah? Any more questions? Yeah.
When you did your metta meditation in Buddha thinking, you do not use the standard face, you use your own face. So we can do that. The normal is may I be free or MBT or these are the standard ones. So in Buddha thinking, we haven't changed it.
Is it? What did I change? Please tell me. Don't simply accuse me of anything.
You don't follow the standard one.
Okay, I don't follow the standard, so what did I use? Must have some evidence. You tak perlu kata, I don't need to answer you.
So the question is, so we can use our own words that.
It's possible, yes, of course. But you must use the correct one. For example, if a person is sick, you say, I wish you happiness, so may you die quickly so that you don't suffer so much. That one tak boleh guna lah. Yeah. It's an extreme case, but that's what some people think, no. Because last time recall, your relative going to die. Botan. Reverend, please come and chant. My mother is about to die. Can you chant so that she can quickly go peacefully? We cannot answer to those requests. You chant nicely, good karma to you. If you die, that's a business. I've got nothing to do with her, making her die. Okay, enough. transference of merit. Idang me punyang asava khayavahang Hotu Idang me punyang Nibbanasa Pachayo Hotu Imang no punya bagang Sabba Sattanang Dema Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu